5-year, $170 million extension by Philly, the maximum he could receive, and both sides are working through the details of the extension, which has not yet been signed. Simmons has put up numbers, all right? His 22 triple-doubles over his first 2 seasons is surpassed only by the great Oscar Robertson in NBA history. Those 22 are tied for the 3rd most in the league over the last 2 years, behind only Russell Westbrook and LeBron James. So I want to bring Woj back into the conversation here. Since you reported this news early yesterday afternoon, Woj, what sort of reaction are you hearing around the league?
Well, it's a no-brainer. I mean, Ben Simmons is a player you're going to offer a max deal to right when he's eligible for it. He and Rich Paul, his agent, will get this done here in the near future. And now Philadelphia will have its core locked up. Joel Embiid's locked up for long term. And then obviously Al Horford and Tobias Harris, who are signing extensions and new deals with them here. And now you have your core. And then, if you want to move pieces around down the road, if you don't like the makeup of your team, well, you need to have your players under contract long term for them to have value in moving them. But Ben Simmons and Joel Embiid, those are the centerpieces of this Sixer organization, and then they fit everybody else around them.
That's a point well taken and well made, Woj. I appreciate it. And again, we will come back to you as this morning progresses. Certainly, if there's any news on Kawhi, we are all vigilantly monitoring your Twitter feed, among other things. So we're back to you. Let me come back to the table here on this. So I want to make it clear what my position is on this, because I talked a lot about this yesterday, and I questioned Ben Simmons. I understand it is a no-brainer to give him the extension. I fully get that. And I get that if in the future your plan is to make any kind of moves that involve him, then you need to have him under contract. That's not what I'm questioning. What I'm saying is this. If you watch the Sixers last year in the playoffs, and Bontemps, you cover them. Yep. I know they have a lot of really good players, but late in games, there were 2 guys you wanted taking shots for them, and they're both gone. The 2 guys you wanted to make a shot for you are both gone. J.J. Redick and Jimmy Butler were the 2 guys you want the ball in their hands in the 4th quarter. So I get Embiid is incredibly talented, and I get Ben Simmons does a lot of things besides shoot the basketball. But at the end of the day, I'm just not convinced those 2 guys are the core of a championship.
Well, look, and those are the 2 guys that Brett Brown ran all the plays for late in games, right? It was running J.J. Redick off of pin downs and flying around and making threes and stuff. Like, that was what they did. And to me, this is a big bet on Ben Simmons. Elton Brand said during the year they were going to give him this max contract. And like Woj said, they need him under contract no matter what they do. But at the end of games, Jimmy Butler was the guy with the ball in his hands. He was the one who was making plays the final 5 minutes of games. Ben Simmons didn't have it. If you're going to give him a max contract and have him be your point guard, if you're in the playoffs, he's got to be the guy with the ball now.
No, I agree. I think Ben Simmons is such a special player that there would have been any team that would have given him the max. It's more about now we need to see the evolution of your game. And I think at his age, you understand that. But that's why I'm not high on Philly. Everyone's like, they're so talented. They added Al Horford. It's like, who's going to make a shot? Don't tell me Al Horford can hit a 3 or run an offense. They have no one on their team that is a legitimate threat from 3, and their 2 best guys that were at shooting the ball and finishing games are no longer there.
Here's what I want to share with everybody, because the 2 of you, Farnham and Laura, were having a very interesting conversation in our meeting this morning, because you covered Ben Simmons in college at LSU, and there were pieces to this that I think a lot of people, including us, did not know.
Yeah, so Sean, as we kind of dive into this, we would go to a shoot-around or an LSU practice. A lot of times, Ben Simmons would not be there, and Johnny Jones would he was the LSU head coach, he'd run the practice for the other part of the team, and then Ben would go and shoot on his own. He would do his own thing, and he did a lot in the gym. But to your point earlier, and what I think we should share to people, is that he wasn't often with the team, and a lot of times it didn't translate to making shots in game.
Right. So you can go into a gym and you can have a manager or an assistant go into the practice facility while you're practicing with the rest of the team and get up shots. And there was times where I would go, okay, I'd show up and go, is Ben hurt?
Right.
No, he's not hurt. Well, where is he? Oh, he's in the practice gym shooting. Okay, so then I go over there and I'd watch him, and he's working on his shot. He's working on his shot. He's working on his shot. And you're like, okay, cool. He's working on his shot because he hears all of us talk about the fact that he can't shoot. But then it never translated over to the court. And so when I start to look at that, and then I look at the lack of evolution, as you're talking about, Richard, as far as bringing that to the gym, knowing that he is working on it, that tells me it is a mental paralyzation for him now.
And the one, understand, he had a full year of not playing basketball. So, you know, with his broken foot, I believe that he could have come back and played, but they wanted him to sit out the entire year. So he sat out. So he had months upon months upon months to go out there and just train, just shoot, just do non-contact stuff, and it's still no shot.
Look, I mean, I'm not a basketball player, but like everyone else, I've walked into a gym in my life and played basketball. And the first thing you do is just start shooting. I mean, it's the first thing anyone does when they pick up a basketball. How is it possible that he have lived this much of his life, can have played a year, however bizarre the circumstances were, at a major college?
I've never seen it, by the way. I've never been to a practice in covering college basketball at ESPN for the last 9 years. Never once have I walked into a gym and have somebody not practice with the team.
What does it mean? What does that say about him?
Well, I think there was a fear factor for LSU from the standpoint of they didn't want him to get hurt because this was a one-and-done guy, and this was the marquee get for that team and that university.
I also think he was self-conscious to be shooting in front of people, which I think plays into all of this. He wanted to be in private working on that shot because he knew that it didn't look good, and he was trying to fix it.
Well, and I was going to say, the other thing, too, is that he's always been the biggest and strongest and fastest guy on the court, right? He's always been like the LeBron James type guy coming up, so he didn't have to shoot. Because he could get to the rim, he could pass, he could do whatever he needed to do, and it didn't matter.
Yeah, and look, when you start want to compare him to other guys in his kind of age generation, and Giannis was airballing free throws, right? But you know what Giannis did? He drove the ball again. You can't have that fear factor. You're going to airball a free throw. You're going to airball a three. Steph Curry is the greatest three-point shooter of all time, and he's had a game where he was 0 for 14. You can't let failure be what stops you from trying to succeed.
All right,
there was nobody happier. There was nobody happier to win a ball game than Skaggs. You know, every time he came off the mound, and he just got done pitching. He stayed in the dugout and pumped the guys up. He'd go upstairs and, you know, waiting in that hallway when we win a ball game. There was no more energy that he brought. To lose, you know, somebody like him, it's tough. You know, my first at bat, I get up there and all I do is think about him, you know.
His jersey was hanging in his locker, and, you know, we wanted to, you know, take him out there with us, you know, one more time. You know, he meant so much to all of us. You know, he was definitely my best friend.
Tyler Skaggs' friends around the sport paid tribute on Tuesday. Nationals pitcher Patrick Corbin wore a number 45 jersey in his honor, drew 45 on the back of the mound. Indians pitcher Trevor Bauer had TS 45 written on the side of his cap and also drew Skaggs' number on the mound. Tyler Skaggs, gone at the age of 27 years of age, and the reaction from around the sport of Major League Baseball and beyond continues. We'll take a short time out. Back in just a moment on Get Up.